Alright, hello, welcome everyone to the Claire Last Flame tutorial as requested by Skater and I think H. Um, so yeah, we're here at the main menu. I'm gonna assume anyone watching this has already played at least one game, so I don't need to give the marketing pitch or whatever. We're just gonna kind of jump into it. You have your three game modes, which I guess I will briefly explain. Ascension is just the normal game mode, I guess. It's what I play most of the time. Um, Endless is just Ascension, but at the end of it, you get to go into the endless mode. They're kept separated. I think he said he wanted them separated for to separate your stats, but they're basically the same. Then the challenge mode is all the weird, funny game modes. For the sake of this video, I'm not using any of these. We're going to go into the custom game because I wanted to opt out of all the unlocks. When you start the game, you have a limited pool of all the stuff to try and keep it simple. And this is kind of the only way for me to undo that temporarily. So here we go. First thing you're going to see is to pick your heroes. Main thing I'd say here is not to worry too much about this. Generally for team comps, as you get better or begin learning more about the heroes, you'll kind of have an idea of what works together and what you want to combine. But, for the most part, if you're just starting out, I just say, kind of have a mix of melee heroes and ranged heroes. I usually, like to have two of one, three of the other. And some things are also a little obvious, like the guys with bows. There's quite a few guys with bows. They're like backline ADCs, basically. And you also have these helpful little cards that tell you, this is a ranged hero that can deal certain damage, or, it might be a little overwhelming at first, but, this one says tank, so we'll grab this one. Also grab Zots, because he looks... But, you don't have to worry too much about that. The second thing you're going to be faced with is choosing a relic. Once again, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Just pick the one with the least text for now, honestly. That's honestly what I do half the time anyway. But basically, at the beginning of each act, you'll be given a sort of economy relic, I guess. So, GC Mango, great one of my favorites. And here we go. We're on to the Slay the Spire map here. I'll talk about pathing a bit later. For now, I was hoping, is there a path where I can show everything? Kind of. Yeah. For now, I just want to be able to hit all the different tiles so I can talk about them. Yeah, okay. So we have our first fight. You place your heroes on the board. You can move them around. And it plays out like an auto battler. After this, we're going to get the choice or the ability, I guess, to recruit another hero. Your team by default is 5 heroes, so your first few fights, they'll give you 5 heroes to get you started. You kind of pick them one at a time, with the exception of the first 2. Grab another guy here. And then we're also going to see our first heirlooms. This is what these stat items are called. They're pretty simple. They just give various stats. Some of them have a bit of a drawback, I guess. This gives a lot more damage. The axe gives more damage than the great axe, but you lose attack speed for it. Fairly simple. You'll whenever you get offered heirlooms, you always get 2 of them. That's just the way it's done, I guess. Then we move on to the next fight. So I'll take a brief moment here to talk about positioning. You're going to see your enemies here, and when you pick up your heroes, you can actually see that you can't place them directly next to enemies. They have to be at least 1 tile away. And whichever hero is closest to the enemy, they're going to draw the aggro. And then if you have 2 that are equally close, like this, it's whichever one you place last. So you can use this to set up each fight. You'll do this pretty much at the beginning of every fight. I'd say this is in terms of tactical stuff, this is kind of all of it. Pretty much, with the exception of a few specific enemies, your tactics are just setting up who's taking the aggro and who's in the backline. You can also see more details about the enemies, what they do, to try and, I guess, best set up your guys. Some may have AoE spells, so you don't want your guys to clump. Others may fire a shot in a direction, and you want to place your tank to block it so it doesn't hit your backline. You just do whatever makes sense to you. I think this is fairly intuitive. And you'll get better at it as you play. Try not to yap too much, get some of these fights going. Alright, and that was pretty easy, as these early fights pretty much all are. We get to pick our 4th hero now. Pick up this one. And then we get our first recipe. So the way these heirlooms work is that they can be placed onto heroes, like this. And they just give those stats. The way recipes works is they have to be attached to heirlooms. I tend to reroll a lot in this game. I guess, full warning. Go and take this one. So for forging, just go ahead and pick your recipe, pick your heirloom, hit the forge button. If the heirloom was already on someone, then that goes on there. If the heirloom was just in your inventory, then you'll find it down here. And now you can see we have those initial stats from the heirloom, the attack damage and the max HP, but we also have the additional bonuses of the recipe. Most recipes just kind of have an effect. This one also had some stats. As you can see, we've got 25 attack damage and 15% lifesteal. And it's just an explanation of lifesteal as opposed to an effect. But we'll go over some more complex recipes soon enough. Here we go. Let's go to the next fight. So we're going to just kind of set up, have our melees in the front tanking, have our guys in the back here. This guy is best targeting. I think it just means hitting as many heroes as possible, so it wouldn't hurt to spread out a little. We'll try and get this guy to tank these two and that guy to tank this one. I pretty much always have a dedicated tank in my team comps, which today is going to be this robot, Mr. Orion. But then, because there's sometimes a lot of enemies and you won't be able to have one tank all the aggro with your placements, I like to have at least one melee with a little bit of survivability so they can kind of work as like a sub-tank. It's going to be Ryu today. So like right there, I have the main tank tanking 2 and the sub-tank tanking 1. You can kind of do it however you want. You can just take 2 full-blown tanks. I've done that before too. But that's just how I usually do it. Okay, let's get our final hero. And we'll pick another heirloom. So occasionally, I don't actually know exactly how it works in terms of when you get offered what, but it'll kind of go back and forth between offering you heirlooms and offering you recipes. And every now and then you get the option of a greater heirloom. So, like I said, you always get 2 heirlooms when they offer it to you. So just the first one will be the upgraded version. So like, for example, we had this, here. We have the Great Axe right here, gives 30 attack damage. The greater version gives 45. And I think it's pretty consistent in that it's like approximately a 50% increase. Some of them get a little weird. So we'll go ahead and grab this one for the greater heirloom. And then, we're just going to reroll here. Some mana regen. Lovely. Mana regen on our caster. Right here. Yeah. What was the other thing I was going to... Okay, so I was going to talk about the passives here. So you'll notice on the right side of each hero, there are some passives. Passive 2 and 3 are locked for now. There's also a base passive. So the base passive is set. That's like an integral part of the hero. And that's, going to affect how you want to build them, which ones you pick, etc. But every time you hit, as it says here, rank 2 and rank 4, you get an additional passive. And we'll do that right now using the trophies. You can do this with middle mouse, or you can do it by just clicking this and then clicking the hero. So let's go ahead and upgrade this guy. You'll see each trophy gives 5 XP. So this is kind of just like your heroes naturally get a little bit of XP from each fight, but you're mostly going to be getting XP by handing out these trophies. Okay, and so now that second passive is being unlocked, we get a choice of a few things here. And the passives you get to choose from will be a mix of things. Some of them are from a pool of random passives, but they'll also be every single hero in the game has their base passive thrown in here. So you'll notice Liam's base passive, Lock and Load, is being offered to us here if we want it. Frankly, don't really want any of these, so we're just going to take this one for now. You'll have the option to reroll and swap passives later, so... if there's one that really doesn't work, you can always take one that's good for another hero, and then maybe swap it later if you get the chance. Okay, checking my notes. I think that's everything I want to talk about. Let's continue on to our. So we'll kind of talk about all these special tiles. We'll skip the event for now, but we'll talk about the campfire and the elites, etc. So we'll start off with the campfire. You get to do a few things at the campfire. One of which is pick your origin. The origins are you only get one of them, so you can swap it out every time you go to a campfire, but you do only get one. And these tend to be like significant buffs. They affect your whole team. And you're gonna want one that kind of like synergizes with your strategy. Because like I said, you only get one, and they're very powerful. So I'm gonna take this one. You can take your time to read them and decide what you want, what you think works with your heroes. I'm taking the one that increases damage dealt to stunned heroes, because I have quite a few stuns in this lineup. The other thing you can do here is that you can upgrade your recipes. So this is an important part of coming to campfires. You're going to want to make sure you visit them, because when you upgrade a recipe, it's going to double the effectiveness. So before it was 25 damage and 15% HP. You'll see now it's 50 attack damage not HP, lifesteal. 50 attack damage and 30% lifesteal. The heirloom stats don't get affected, but whatever recipe you has, whatever it's doing, is going to be doubly as effective as before. The other thing you can do at campfire, as with most of these games, is you can just rest, which is healing your flame. I guess I never really explained that, you lose flame if you lose heroes, but I'm sure most of you know that. Okay, let's move on to the next fight. So this is another one that kind of shows why you maybe don't want to have too many squishy backliners, because you can only you can only tank so much when they're arranged like this. So even though these guys are next to it, we're going to make sure we place our tanks last so the tanks draw the aggro. And kind of split them up here. So this guy will tank these two, and this guy will tank these two. And hopefully these guys will do their job as DPS. Bing, bada boom. It's easy. And because we already have our 5 heroes, we're not being offered heroes anymore. And you won't for the rest of the game, except for boss battles. Boss battles are the only place where fights are going to award you with heroes. We'll take this. As you can see, you get a bit of gold and a couple of trophies for every fight. The Juicy Mango is making it so that we get an additional trophy and a bit of flame back as well. Pick an item. This is going to be another recipe. Okay, and as you can see, unlike this one, which was mostly just stats, a lot of these are more just effects. These two don't have any stats at all. And these two have a little bit of stats, but also a unique effect. I should also mention, if you hold down Shift, you can actually see the upgraded version. So you'll see these numbers double here. Da-da. And we're going to go ahead and take the Spellblade. Okay, and then let's show the shop off. So the shop is probably the most self-explanatory, unique tile. You can buy things. If you want to replace one of your heroes, this is the place to do it. Sorry, my mom's on the phone behind me. Okay, I'm going to take this one. Now, like I said, you can only have 5 heroes at once. So you can't just hold on to things and kind of make decisions later based on what items you get. Personally, I like to kick people right away. So as you can see, you can kick a hero and permanently remove them. And the nice thing about this later in the game, if you've already built up levels on that hero, is that you'll get back 80% of the XP in the form of the trophies. So Liam has like no XP, so kicking him is not going to give me back trophies. It's in fact just objectively kind of a bad idea, but I like to keep the screen clean, so I do it. You'll see below that we have the item choices. This is the main reason you're going to be going to the shops, or at least I think so. Spending your gold on items, you don't need a bunch of bonus heroes. You'll notice you have heirlooms here, mostly the upgraded heirlooms for some additional stats, and then a mix. You have legendary recipes here, the orange ones, which I guess we haven't seen in this run yet, since you mostly see them at like boss battles and shops. We have some basic, or I think they're called rare heirlooms, as well as the upgraded not heirlooms, sorry. Rare recipes, and then the epic recipes, which is just the upgraded form. We can once again hold shift to see what the epic version looks like. if we have the chance to go upgrade it at a campfire. So for now, I'm going to take this for my tank. You'll see this is just stats. Is another one of these just stats recipes. It gives defense and it increases the heal that hero receives. The reason Orion's a decent tank is because he heals himself. So it's nice to upgrade that healing. So we're going to attach it to his heirloom right away. And then what else are we going to grab here? I think we're probably, well, think for a second here. I don't necessarily need any of these when I really think about it. So we're instead, because I don't like to waste my trips here, we're going to make sure we grab a couple of the Raider heirlooms. I'm going to go ahead and attach this one right away, because I do eventually want to give that to him. We'll do this for now. You can, of course, always move these items around. They're not locked in. So I might eventually end up moving this to Azura, but we'll get to that later. Okay, next up we have the elites. So the elites, like pretty much all these STS likes, are just a more difficult battle. There's certain elites that show up on each floor. I think that's also pretty standard. So on the easy floor, I guess we'll see, how many are there even? Is there 3 possible? I think it might be 3 possible outcomes. Maybe it's only 2 on the, I can't think of a third one for the first floor though. But one of them is these guys. They stun you pretty constantly. I actually never even noticed that it steals gold. But apparently, it steals gold, which is annoying. They also, as you can see, they get more attack speed if both of them are alive, so we want to sort of focus our DPS here. We're going to make it so that they're all attacking this one on the left first, so that it's easier to beat them. We're going to have our tank take... he's going to aggro both of them for now, since we've got a bunch of items on him. Should be decently survivable. We've also got a lot of trophies saved up, so before we go into this more difficult fight, let's unlock those second passives. So pretty easy choice for him, I think. Get him some of the shield. Now for Zots, I already have this passive on Orion that would be really good for Zots. So if there's no good ones for Zots here, I'll just grab one that's good for Orion instead. I don't really like either of these for either of them, so let's grab this for now, because it's okay. And for you? Okay, perfect. This hero stuns. We have, this is one of the generic passives, increases your stats when you stun, so that's very useful. Oh, and I almost forgot, because we got rid of that hero earlier, we need to make sure we drag out this one on the battlefield. Here we go. Put it back to, you know, I actually do usually just play on 1x speed. Apologies if it's too slow for some people, but maybe we'll speed up later. So I am yapping a lot. Anyway, okay, that was really smooth. I think I'm playing on a lower difficulty than normal, so this feels weird. But anyway. What do we want? Oh, so this actually seems like a good time to talk about the locking mechanism. So as you can see, you can re-roll here. If you re-roll a the recipes that are here right now are going to be less likely to appear in the future. So, you know, just re-rolling the same crap every time. So if you have a recipe, you know, so if you see 2 that you want, you can go ahead and lock one. The other thing you can do is if you see one that's like okay but not great, like this one right now, it's okay. It's not really what I want, but it's okay. I'm going to lock it and then just try my luck with the other 3. Obviously, the odds of us getting one we really want are lower this way, but at least hold on to one that's decent. And I should mention now that I tend to re-roll quite a lot in this game. Yeah, let's go with this one. Okay, and then pick a relic. So let's get into this. So every time you beat an epic, or whatever they're called, yeah, elite, sorry, enemy, you get to pick a relic. Very standard in these kind of games, once again. These are called combat relics. So the relic we picked at the beginning of the game, the Juicy Mango, actually I forget what they're called, but I call them economy relics, because that's basically what they are. But when you beat bosses, elites, and some other random times, you get to pick instead a combat relic, which it affects your whole team. Or, well, most of them do. They say, you know, all heroes gain HP, all heroes gain spell power, all heroes gain defense, or in this one, it just affects the one hero with the highest max mana. So I think for this, we're going to give everyone a bit of spell power. Yeah, there we go. Well, hopefully we can talk about sacrificial relics later. But for now, we'll move on to the star. So the star makes the enemies a little bit stronger. I believe they get a little bit more attack speed, which is going to mean, you know, they're hitting you more often. They're also going to cast their spells more often. I guess we didn't even talk about spell casting. Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should have done that right away. What can you do? Learning experience for everyone. But yeah. So we're going to go and set up our guys here again. We have our backliners here. The pseudo tank taking these two. The main tank taking these three. Say we should probably make sure we use our recipes. I'm actually going to move this one over here because this one's for him. You know, because if you don't use them, they aren't doing anything. Here we go. Here, we'll put it on slightly faster. Okay, right here we saw this guy move to the right, which means that now this archer guy is beating on my back line, which is unfortunate. Something to be wary of, I guess. So let's pick our item as we always do first. We get another heirloom. What do I even want here? I do want a bit of crit. We'll just finish giving this guy everything he needs. Okay, so the other thing you get for the stars, you get a reward. You get to either recruit a hero, where you can pick a hero, and then you also get some more trophies, some more XP. Or ultimately, you can do the passive swap, and that's exactly what I want to do. You can back out of here for now until you hit the reveal passive button, but once you hit, in case you change your mind, you see these, you're like, oh, never mind. But once you hit reveal passives, you are locked in. So get 4 new passives that you can swap into someone if you want. It's worth noting, so this offensive wisdom is reuse base passive, so it will not let you give him that twice. That's cheating. But what we're actually going to go ahead and do is just swap these two. So this one, I kind of wanted on Zots anyway, so these aren't all that interesting, so we're just going to swap those. When we proceed, we're going to go fight another elite. So yeah, let's talk about spellcasting real quick. Every hero has a mana pool. Every time they attack, they get +1 mana. You also start each fight with like halfway full mana pool. And once you reach this number, you cast your spell. So for this reason, having more max mana actually just means it takes longer to cast, or it takes more mana to cast. I know when I first started playing, it was like, oh, why is max mana seemingly viewed as a bad thing? It's like always in red. And I got the same question from, I think, Skater last night, and it's like, oh yeah, I had that question when I first started. So the reason that it's usually done in red and like I guess seen as a negative stat is because it means that your hero is going to cast less often. There are some heroes that you want to cast less often, like you have a right clicker whose spell isn't very good. You maybe give him some max mana. There's other heroes that have like unique interactions with it. There's whole builds you can do around it. But that's just worth mentioning. The other thing you have is mana regen. So basically, the way it works is that every 10 mana regen you have is 1 mana a second. So with just 3 mana regen, they're only regenerating mana every 3 seconds. 4 is probably just a little bit higher. Yeah, every 2.5 seconds. If you have 10, it'll be 1 mana a second. And if you have more than 10, like say you have 20, that's 2 mana a second. 25, 2.5 mana a second. Or I guess more realistically, 5 every 2 seconds. You can't get half mana. But yeah, that's how that works. Okay. Yes, this is this is the only other elite I remember seeing on Act 1. Maybe it is only 2 elites on Act 1. I cannot name a third one. This guy destroys your mana, which is not great. These guys just get really tanky. So, here we go. We kill the first one before he gets off his damage reduction aura, which is handy, and then, alright, this is just easy, I guess. We're going to pick some more items here. Okay, I have a lot of items I want here, actually. Um, as you may have noticed, we have a little bit of a shock lineup. Both these heroes apply shock. Oh, I meant to talk about that earlier. We'll talk about it now. Basically, there's 4 forms of debuffs in this game. The way you just need to think about it is that bleed is good for attack damage, frost is good for spell damage. Oh god, we didn't even talk about the damage types. Well, we'll get there. And burn is good for ethereal damage. Shock is just basically stunning people. Um, every time they cast a spell, they have a chance to shock, and it also increases the duration of stuns. I would generally say to avoid shock when you're starting off. The other 3 increase your damage, and damage is how you kill things and win the game. But I happen to be doing a shock lineup. So, these items here that give me spell power based on shock, obviously handy. Attack damage based on shock, lovely. And applying more shock. They're all fantastic for me, right? So, I'm going to lock them all and then think which one I want first. And I'm thinking we'll do, because this one consumes shock, we're going to wait on that for now. We're just going to grab the Thunder Dagger. And because that was another elite, we get another relic, which is handy. Okay, still no sacrificial. Are there no sacrificial relics at the start of the game, maybe? I was going to show that at some point, but I guess I can't. Okay, so I'll show the hextile buffs for now. Okay, on to the boss battle. Hextile buffs come from relics. They're just certain hexes. If you place your hero on it, you'll get a little buff. They can be a bit hard to use. I don't use them a lot. If I can avoid it, I often just sacrifice them. But they, they're not bad, and they're the ones you get at the start of the game, so you're going to see them a lot when you start. This boss right here always attacks the lowest HP hero. It's worth noting there's a few enemies that do this. Taunts do not go through this. This will, or I should say it goes through taunts. Taunting it will not cause it to attack the hero that's taunting. It'll just ignore that and attack the lowest HP hero anyway. So the way I usually set up this fight is I usually stick my tank over here. I figure out who has the lowest HP and kind of put them as a sacrificial lamb. This hero has a big AoE cone that also heals him, so we don't want the lowest HP hero to have a bunch of people next to them. Because if we do that, they're all going to get hit, which is unideal. So I'm actually putting down here so you can get the crits. So the dragon will run down here and hit him. They'll hit him from the back, and the tank can just distract these 2 guys for a while. Yeah, oh, I guess I should give this to someone. Set up right now. This guy. Here we go. You can also obviously mess with the HP if you have items that give HP. You can maybe change who the lowest HP hero is. I'm just keeping it simple for now. And he is going to die because of this. But that's okay, because the other heroes have it dealt with. Alright. That's the first act. So at the end of the first act, you're going to notice your relic is once again one of these economy relics. I'm going to go grab this one because it's fun. We get more trophies and gold than normal. You'll also notice you get flame. Even in the highest difficulties, you're always going to get flame from the final boss. Because it's a bit of a currency in this game. It's not like other STS likes where you just stop healing at bosses in the highest difficulties. You always heal at bosses because you need to spend that to buy things, basically. You get a chance to recruit a hero again. I'm just going to ignore this for the rest of the game. We're just going to stick with the 5 we have. That's how I generally like to play. And then we get one of these legendary recipes. We saw these earlier in the shop. Here they are again. Alright, let's make some decisions. These tend to be better, obviously, than the rare ones. Not necessarily better than the epic ones, but definitely better than the rare ones. They do tend to be a little funkier, though, is what I'd say. I guess not always. This one's pretty basic. But you don't see as many that are just stats. They recently added one that's just stats, so maybe that's not totally true. But, and then there's this one, which is just stats, but you also lose HP. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking my ass here, but I think they feel a little funkier. And I tend to roll through these a lot because I think they tend to be a little more niche. Ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. Aha, perfect. Alright, we're gonna grab this. It's a nice simple one here. It just turns mana regen into spell power, which is nice for any caster. Oh, so let's talk about spell power. Because if you're a hero that wants to cast their spell a lot, you either want attack speed to get more mana quickly, or you want mana regen to get more mana, and then you also generally want spell power. So you'll notice that this hero has a spell that does damage, and it has the base 110 plus 0 SP. Basically, spell power just increases the effectiveness of the spell by 1%. Well, as long as it has something listed here. So there are some spells that are completely unaffected by spell power, and that's something to look out for. But all the ones on this hero, you'll see they'll have damage. This is kind of the standard. They'll have damage plus SP. So this hero with 150 damage, that means every spell power is going to increase it by 1.5. So 100 spell power is 100% extra damage. So if this hero had 100 spell power, he'd deal 300 damage instead of 150. This hero only does 110, so if she had 100 spell power, she would deal 220 instead of 110. You'll notice on Orion, he doesn't deal any damage, but he still has the little brackets here. He has an 8% heal. He heals 8% of his max HP. And spell power, once again, is going to increase the effectiveness by 1% for every spell power. So if we had 100% spell power on him, he'd be healing for 16% of his max HP instead of 8. It took me a while to figure that one out. You also have some heroes that scale with other things. So this one has SP, but also bonus max HP. She deals additional damage. So if you look at the way it's written here, dealing 1% additional damage for every 30 bonus max HP. That means she's effectively getting the equivalent effect of 1 spell power for every 30 bonus max HP. But yeah, hopefully that's not too confusing. Okay, Act 2. I think I've gone over most of the basics. Check my thing. Yeah. So I'll talk a bit more about strats and what I'm doing and why I'm doing on this act. Damn, already 30 minutes in. So let's start off with choosing a path. Usually, on the first one, I kind of chose a little bit of everything just to show you, but I do often do that anyway. You're going to get gold, so you're going to want to go to a shop to spend the gold. You're going to get new rare relics that you want to upgrade to epic relics, so you're going to want to hit campfires. And you're going to get new passives on your heroes that you might potentially want to reroll or swap, so you want to hit the stars. And you can kind of adjust based on what you have. Like, if you look at all your passives and you're like, yeah, my passives are pretty good, we can maybe hold off on the stars till later. If you look at your gold and say I'm a little poor right now, maybe wait to do the shop till the end, or maybe even avoid it entirely if you're just going to wait till the next act. And then similarly, the campfires, if you have a lot of rares, I'd focus the campfire more, try and get there right away, maybe even try and get 2 of them. If you don't have a lot of them, no need. Similar with the origin. Do you like your origin or not? I'm going to go this left path, I think. We have quite a few rare recipes stacked up here that I do want to keep, so I want to upgrade them. And we can also hit everything else on the way here. The shop may not be super useful because we don't have a ton of money, but c'est la vie. Yeah. So the other thing I'm going to do here is you see these fragments of truth. Basically the way this works, I'm going to toggle this on, is that once you get to a certain difficulty, there's a 4th act after Act 3. But in order to access it, you need to have the 3 fragments of truth. And once you get the first one, it'll appear up here. So we'll just do this fight for now, so you can see that. And once again, this is just fairly easy. Okay, so generally speaking, you don't have to worry about mythic heirlooms. There's very few ways to get them. This mythic chest is one of them. I mostly just picked it because it's fun, to be honest. But yeah, here we are. This is one where I would reroll heavily to get the thing you really want. But honestly, I think I'm happy to just take this one right here. Like I said, unless you're playing, like, there's certain challenge game modes that have them. There's this mythic chest and I think an event, but generally they're not going to be a thing you get, so. be happy if you get one, I guess. Let's see. So I have the items I need for my right clickers right now. So I really want some items for Jura, which is gonna be kind of like HP for the most part. I'm gonna take the HP and attack speed for her. So let's pause for a second again and just talk about what I'm doing with each of these heroes. Orion, I currently explained, he's a tank. He heals on cast, and he heals based on max HP. So I want him to have decent stats in terms of HP and defense. I also want him to be casting relatively often, if possible. Zots is a bit of a funky hero. His base passive gives him attack speed, as long as you have a nice combination of attack damage and spell power. I've also already picked up the Spell Blade, which gives me additional attack damage based off spell power, and Equilibrium, which is just the exact same thing, but in passive form. So I really want to get some spell power on him. Right now I have none, but that may not be changing soon. I need to find a decent way to just give him a bunch, basically, because just heirlooms isn't going to cut it. Ryu is just kind of a brawler, so giving him some lifesteal. He shields himself, so we gave him some shield received bonus. And a little bit of extra attack damage to utilize that lifesteal. His passive is more shield, so he's just a mix of damage and survivability. Katara is a caster, she does single target damage and stuns, so we want her to have mana to be casting that off cooldown. She also, her base passive, she'll rack up some extra spell power when she gets off her first 5 casts. So this is, Kasara's build is going to be like the most basic spellcaster stuff. And then Azura is the weirdest hero I've picked up here. Whenever she casts, she gains max HP based on shock. She also deals bonus damage based on max HP, as I mentioned earlier. And her passive gives her more spell power on cast based on max HP. So we want her with lots of HP, lots of casting, basically. Just those two, yeah, those two things. And ideally additional shocks on enemies. Okay. So what do we got here? Some of these are a little too expensive because I didn't have a lot of money coming in. I actually don't know if any of these are particularly credible. You know what? We'll pick up these two. Because this on cast, like I said, Ryan's a bit of a caster tank, so getting some permanently scaling defense, just things that are like on cast or on attack. If they don't say they have a cap, like this one's capped at 250 attack damage, they are essentially a way to like infinitely scale, which is handy. You know what, we'll go ahead and grab the Jade Dagger as well. This reduces max mana. And we're going to put this on Kasara so she can cast more often. This is an item that will give her additional mana regen, as long as she has a certain amount of spell power. So, let's carry on. Other thing we're going to do is we're going to upgrade all these guys to level 3. At level 3, basically any level that you're not getting a passive unlock, you just get a little stat boost. Let's do a bunch of them so you can see them, all the various options. Oh, they're kind of the same. Funky. Well, I guess we're not seeing that many. So lifesteals, magic lifesteal, defense, attack speed, attack damage, spell power, mana. There's also health. Health is the only one that's missing here. So for my squishy backliners, I often use the level 3 stat boost to give them a little survivability, something they generally lack. So I'm going to put the defense on Zots. For my frontline friend here, he already has lifesteal, so we're actually just going to give him... Oh, I keep looking at the wrong thing. We could give him some more attack damage. I think I'm just going to give him defense, though. He already gets... He's going to get, like, infinitely scaling attack damage from the Thunder Dagger, so... And then for Azura, she already has a ton of HP naturally, so we're just going to give her the magic steel so she can heal herself if needed. We'll hold off on the others for now. Gonna put Zots on the crit hex tile, because that's handy. And yeah, we don't really need to think too much about this one. Just have the tanks tank. I do like to have it not on max speed, just because I can kind of see what's going on. Like, I see that already Ryu is kind of struggling a little bit to tank properly. That's going to have to be something I think about. Yeah, okay. So let's go ahead and grab this to apply some more crit. Often for lineups, I'll prefer to kind of have like a dedicated utility hero. So for Zots, who I want to deal damage, I wouldn't want to give this this Storm Sword that just is utility. You're just applying debuff. But for now, he'll have to do because it's crit based, and he's the only one with a lot of crit. I'm keeping my Origin. I tend to keep my Origins for a long time. I'm going to enchant some more stuff. I'm not going to heal. I'm just going to enchant. Let's go ahead and get our tank a little stronger here. I'm holding off on enchanting the Spell Blade because I don't have any spell power, so it's useless to enchant right away. We will go ahead and upgrade the staff for Ryu, though. It'll help him tank better. Before we leave, I guess I'll go through the Reborn mechanic. So this is brand new, so I don't want to speak too much about it. So a lot of my attempts to use it, frankly, have resulted in me losing. But what can you do? I think Ryu's Reborn is very simple. Reborn just changes stuff, basically. So for some, they're really simple. Jeez, this is whack. So this one is just like a thing that gets added to the hero. Other times it changes things. Sometimes it like completely removes them. Like this one, it completely changes the way his active works, and it disables his active, I should say, in favor of this. So some of them get really funky, and some of them are quite simple. Reuse is quite simple, so we're just gonna take this one for now. So I don't yap too much about it. You can kind of like mix and match for what you pay. It's a pretty big price. You don't have to pay out of any one resource. So you don't have to have too much saved up. Pay like that. So maybe don't worry too much about Reborn right now because it is really weird, really odd mechanic. You don't want to get rid of. Not really. What's this? Sorry, I didn't even talk about that event. I don't know. The events just read what they say. Oh, that was not very helpful of me. Apologies. But that event was just, you had the option to give up an item for trophies or to gain a relic. So I've gained some relics. Oh, and I said I was going to explain the Fragment of Truth, and I totally forgot. There's 3 fragments. One of them you get from enabling it on a normal fight. One gets enabled from enabling it on an elite fight, and one from being enabled on a boss. I have the tendency to always do these in Act 2. I feel like Act 1, the heroes are a little underdeveloped and it's too risky, and then I'll do them in Act 3 if I have to, but Act 3, the enemies are at their strongest, so I find Act 2 to be a nice middling ground. I also find the Act 2 bosses to be by far the easiest, so that's how I do it. These enemies that like throw balls at each other, unless there's only one of them, in which case they throw them at you. So you don't want to put your heroes in the middle of them. Oh, there you go. They were all dead, so he threw balls at us instead, but my tanks just ate them, so it didn't even matter. Ooh, another good Ryu item. I don't think I need to go too ham, though. He's happy with the 3 he has. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take Ring of the Storm, which is going to consume my shocks, but it's okay. We'll work with it. We're giving that to Azura, so she can kind of bump up her damage. Okay, this is, I think, like the ultimate noob killer. He has the whole always target lowest HP thing. And when he kills one of your heroes, he gets even stronger, including lifesteal. So if you screw up here, he just snowballs out of control and kills your whole team. Remember, he was really difficult to deal with when I first started playing. And he can still be annoying if your team's too weak. You just get absolutely boned. So, first of all, let's go ahead and get these last couple of stat boosts. Do you want more defense on hit? Sure. and then go from there. So I should also advise not to cheese this. You can theoretically cheese it by like putting a melee hero in the back and surrounding him by ranged heroes, but the game will just eventually override the attack range, and then your hero will be trapped and still getting hit by the ogre anyway. But you can at least delay his movements a bit, which is fun. So I'm not really messing with the HP, I'm just thinking I have enough attack damage. The Zotz is going to sit in the back with the lowest health, and it's going to get run at. Oh, I'm going to enable the Fragment of Truth, so this enemy is going to have 25% additional HP, which is very risky on this one in particular, but YOLO. Oh yeah, this might end badly. Oh, this is one enemy that's very susceptible to stuns, though, just because it's a single enemy. There we go. Easy takedown. And we have a lot of stuns, so... Okay, we get our relic. Okay, I'm beginning to think there is, in fact, just no sacrificial relics in the, without unlocking stuff. Whatever. There's a few of these orbs, they just apply debuffs, which are handy. The bleed, as I mentioned, is for physical damage, so we got some decent physical, we'll take it. What do we want here? Some more mana regen on the hero we put this item on would be good. Perfect. I guess just some like raw HP would be great. Okay, this also works though. It's on our tank. Bit of a defense, bit of mana regen. Everything a caster tank wants. Oh yeah, this one's weird. So they send a beam to the furthest hero. It can be intercepted. And I think more damage the closer the target is. Sorry, misread. Okay, so we're gonna put our attack damage dealer behind our tank here. Do the same with this one. Yeah, so the tanks should just absorb the beams. And hopefully survive them. And that they have. Wonderful. Oh, this would actually be really good for our shield guy. Shouldn't keep grabbing stuff for him, but alright, we're doing it. We have another passive swap. Most of my passives are honestly fine. Oh, I guess we could shift these two around, maybe. There's some things that can be done here. My tank passive sucks, so a better tank passive would be nice. I don't like any of these, though. Also, now that I've reborn Ryu, he really doesn't need this passive at all. So I could also just change that one. Well, I think I will. Change to this. Oop. We have a choice between the Elite and the Fire Camp. I'll take the Fire Camp because we have more things to enchant. A lot of things to enchant, actually. Some more mana regen here. And I don't think we're going to die on this boss, so I'm just going balls to the walls here. Very awkward if I die anyway. That being for a short tutorial, huh? But like I said, these Act 2 bosses tend to be very predictable. There's the one I think that's maybe the most difficult is the Skeleton King. Because he's dealing constant damage. It's like a sandstorm effect, which can be unfortunate for your low HP heroes. He also kind of messes up your taunting. But the other two, the big glob guy is incredibly easy. And as long as you have two tanks, this one is also relatively easy. So I usually put my main tank up here to tank these guys, have everyone else deal with the little guys at the back. And then they'll deal with these guys last. And we'll go and activate the Fragment of Truth so that we can complete this. And go to Act 4 at the end. Yeah, here we go. Let's see. It looks like our tank's doing okay. We're actually stunning one of those spinners so much that he's not even getting the chance to hurt our tank. So Orion's doing just a-okay. I always forget what this thing does, and I forgot to look below. Yeah, you'll see also the origins usually tell you what they're doing. So in this one, because it's extra damage from stuns, see it's told us how much extra damage we've dealt via stuns. So, you know, it's like kind of like just under a hero's worth. Oh, so we do get a sacrificial one. Okay, let's use this. So for sacrificial relics, they have this tombstone next to them. And upon choosing them, you also have to get rid of one of your other ones. So we're going to get rid of the long spear because I don't like hextile ones. There you go. I got the backpack just gives you some stuff. It gives you a 4th slot on one of your heroes randomly. We got a 4th slot in Azura. Really need to find her some items now. We got a random recipe and an heirloom. This recipe is worthless to us, unfortunately. We don't have any summons. It's a summon-based one. But, Celebi. Then we'll there go and pick an item. Ideally, I guess we really want one. Either, well, there's a couple things I have in mind. Either something that gives Zots a ton of spell power, or just something that Azura can use. That's what we really want right now. Okay. Hmm. That could be kind of interesting, actually. Okay, I got a thought here. Let's give Azura Omnicrit. She has an extra slot now, so, I mean, that extra slot, with the way items synergize with each other, can be absolutely massive. So let's actually move all these items over to her and see if we can't get something cool going on here. So Omnicrit, I should explain what that is, just allows things to crit that wouldn't normally crit. Crits by default are only affecting your right clicks. With Omnicrit, they'll affect your spell casting, any items that do damage, items that apply debuffs, buffs to yourself. It doesn't affect literally everything, and the exceptions aren't super well written. But I do know there are some exceptions. It won't like triple dip on stuff. Like, yeah, anyway. And then I click this to make it go away. Alright, this is, my notes are long over, by the way, so hopefully I'm rambling with some intention here, but who knows. I think we're going to go through the middle here, get a couple more fireplaces, and then a shop at the end. I don't need to go to any more elites, because I've already completed the Fragments of Truth, so I'm just going to avoid them. I don't really care about the relics either. Okay. We're just gonna basic setup once again. Sub tank taking on like a third of the enemies, and the main tank taking on like the other 2/3. With our spellcasters at the back. I have them grouped right now because there's no AoE they need to care about. Okay, and that's caused Zot's damage to tank, but that's okay for now. Let's get him something to replace what he's lost, though. Sure, let's just do this for now. The spell power attack damage mix. Oh, maybe she's like 2 of those. Oh, giving him some crits back would be useful. EH. Yes, for now. Alright, so this is a star, so it's going to allow us to swap passives. So once this fight is over, I'm going to sort of upgrade some heroes and see what we get for their second passive. I may want to swap out some of those, or swap around some of those. Okay, another item. Ooh, more shock. I don't know if we desperately need that. Consider it though, we'll lock it. I'm actually gonna grab this Proctor's Helm for Orion. This should finish off his build nicely. This gives you a lot of max HP without healing for that amount, but Orion's already healing based on his max HP, so that's a pretty nice combo actually. Okay, so let's upgrade some guys. This guy's on 15, so that's a nice clean upgrade. Oh, this basically just maxed out his crit, 'cause he basically permanently shields himself with that reborn thing we did. So let's definitely grab that. Just keeping that one. Let's see what we get on Zots. Ooh, nothing overly useful here. But the Angelic Power would be good on Kasara, so let's see if Kasara gets something good for Zots. Oh. She got... Okay. Let's think for a second here. Do this one too. Okay, so... Health rune, gain max HP equal to 3 times shock is like ideal for Azura, so I want to grab it. A two-way trade is going to be kind of annoying though, although I'm hitting a lot of stars on this route, so I think I can pull it off. You know, you only get so many passive swaps, so you kind of got to plan them out if you end up with a bunch of shit on heroes that's messed up. So, dazing defense would be good too, but I don't think I need it. So we're gonna grab these two with the intention to swap them around, and then I guess this is what's gonna end up on dots probably. So here we go. None of these are amazing, which is good, because I really want to swap this stuff around. So let's go and swap these two first, and then the next one we'll probably swap another. Let's get enchanting here. I actually do still really want to give Ryu the Shield Striker instead of Thunder Dagger. Maybe even just move Thunder Dagger to Zots instead. So for now, I'll just ignore both of those and upgrade the other stuff, I think. Sort of finish up the tank. Proceed. Another one. We'll do one rest and one enchant. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get the ring going here. Hit another event. Oh, I could have just done another one if I'd have known. Lose an item to gain 4 passive swaps. I actually don't hate that, especially because we have this free one we got that was totally useless. So, yeah, let's swap some passives around. Hell yeah. Get some more shock infliction, which is super handy. I want to do that on my hero with Omni Crit? I kind of do. Wow, it's just like free reign, do what we want. I gotta say, some of the events can be really powerful. They're just obviously random, so you gotta work around that. My phone's dying, but that's not important right now. Okay, none of these are that interesting, so let's do this final swap. Angelic Power on Kasara. Let's see what else we got. Additional item slot. We'd love to see it. We're doing it. We're going crazy. Got so many item slots. Okay, last one. Definitely gonna take another health rune here. For our actual tank, so he can get tons of HP as well. Perfect. Alright, I kind of whipped through that, but got additional shock creation. We've got an additional slot for Zots at the cost of a whole bunch of stuff. And we have Orion infinitely scaling his max HP, which is really handy. You know what I'm actually going to do with this now? Oh no, actually, did I speak too soon? No, we are going to do this. So we're going to put the Shield Striker thing here, and then we're going to go ahead and give the Thunder Dagger to Zots for his empty slot. With that empty slot later. This gives him even more damage. Allows Ryu to use this other item I was already considering giving him. What more can you want? These guys do AoE kind of like in a cone. So instead of having them split, I'm actually going to have this tank everything that our backline isn't hit by anything. And he's going to maybe struggle a little bit, but yeah, no, he's fine. Once he gets that first cast off, he's golden. Not casting as much as I'd like, to be honest. I don't really give him that much mana regen, but that's okay. He has enough. Oh, I forgot about this thing. Okay, there's also... I don't know if I need even more of this. I guess it doesn't hurt, though. Screw it. Then we get... Oh, so before we do this, I'm gonna... Oh, I don't have enough to finish off Orion. That's a bummer. Surely we're actually pretty good on passive swaps at this point. I feel like I've mostly made everything exactly how you want it. I think I have. I really don't want any of these. So, that's okay. Yeah, I planned this route with all the passive swaps and then got a bunch for free. Okay, so these guys, the more of them attacking the same hero, the more damage they do. This is like a really important one to try and split the aggro between the tank and the semi-tank. Gonna avoid this guy's cone attack on our back line. That should be good. And our damage is pretty. We don't really have like one main damage dealer right now. They're all just kind of helping out. But that's fine. It doesn't hurt. It's also a lot easier to do in lower difficulties. I mean, I don't think you really need like one DPS to rule them all. I really need either mana regen, I think, or attack speed on her. We'll go with mana regen. We want her casting as much as possible. Another one, don't really need any of these, so I grab something randomly. And we're near the shop before the final boss. Final-ish boss. Okay. Okay, this is a good. For the final passive on Orion, just give him some more shield. It's always handy. Everyone loves shield. So I'm going to split it slightly. Don't really get all these guys. Oh, they're those ones. I think at this point we're powerful enough, I'm not even paying that much attention to what the enemies do. One last passive swap if we need it. Ooh, this is actually an okay one to have on Orion. Either one of these is actually solid on Orion. So maybe I'll swap that out for Eternal Shield, because Eternal Shield's a little whatever. Yeah, we'll do this scanning spell power based on max HP so he can heal himself more. Final recipe here. Or not final recipe, it's a bit of a lie, because we have a boss and a little bit extra. You know what, we're going to grab this for Surface. Azura just gives you more mana regen on attack, which is what she wants. Mana regen, spell power, yada yada. Last shop. Oh, this is... Decisions. Okay, this is kind of all I feel like too good to ignore on our friend Ryu. Let's get rid of the Orcish Dagger for now. We're actually going to use Dismantle. Dismantle allows you to take these things apart. If that wasn't obvious, haven't done it this run yet, but I do it pretty often. I want to give this to Ryu instead of, they do end up back in your inventory, so you have to remember to re-equip them. Give that to him, because that's just a really good combo. Then I'll go ahead and give this leftover thing to Zots, I think. Yeah. To him a little extra survivability, which is nice, because the Demon God thing is hurting him constantly. And then I'm just gonna, I think, grab an extra heirloom to attach the final epic item, the item from the boss to. Although, that being said, got a space here that needs filling. So, I could grab this. It's just, it gives a ton of mana regen. It's just risky. Alright. Oh, I guess. Like I said, I'm gonna grab a spare item just in case I need it later. Here we go. Final boss. This one, these like basically heal each other all the time. I tend to just group them all next to the blue one. Oh, maybe I shouldn't do that now I've actually read it. Take more damage from the one you're closest to. This one is way too much, so I never want to be close to that one. No, we'll stick with what I normally do. Surely it won't go wrong. Put these two here. We'll kind of let, these guys don't move, I should mention. They're a bit weird. Let Ryu take a little bit of a brunt of it here. Okay, so they are getting hammered, but they're lifestealing through it for the most part. And there we go. We eventually do enough damage to take that guy down. Little extra items we bought for Ryu and Kasara. Quite solid here. Okay, so as you can see, the game's not over because we collected the 3 Fragments of Truth. We're getting into the final act. Just grab this tome. Not great, but it's what we got. I would still like an item on Zots that gives him some actual spell power. So let's see what we can do. I have certain items in mind. I'm beginning to think they're just not unlocked at the beginning of the game, though. Which is a little unfortunate. Oh, we could just take this one, though. This is gain the passive of all the other heroes, so I would gain spell power from this and this. So that works. Try one more. Yeah, okay, we're gonna roll with it. Swap it out for the... We have plenty of shock creation. Okay, so this is Act 4 now. You have either a shop or a fire camp to round it off. I'm gonna go to the fire camp because I want to upgrade the last couple of these items. Specifically, let's go ahead and get this one up. And I think this one. And then you fight these 2 sort of mini bosses. You don't get any flame or anything at the end of these either. Any trophies. These are just... this is the end of the line, basically. So you'll fight these guys. This is just a one big tanky one. That sort of just does damage all over the place. Sort of a test. Make sure your backline can survive, I guess. Even if they aren't being targeted. We have a few trophies left, so let's, I think, tank up... I'm gonna say Kasara or Zots. Zots at least has some defense. Maybe let's tank up Kasara. Because like I said, once they level up and they don't have a passive to fill, they instead just get a stat boost. None of these, I really want health or defense, so we're actually going to ignore it and do out the fight. If you do this at the beginning of a fight, I don't know if it's intended or not, but if you play out the fight, they'll actually change at the end of it. So I've started the aggro on Ryu because Orion has a taunt, so the taunt will, the aggro will change. It just gives Orion a little bit of time. Gonna flip the damage. You also see that boss stuns the highest damage dealer. Okay, here we go. They've changed, so I'm gonna give her defense instead now. Perfect. One thing I haven't done this game at all is look at fight recaps. I guess I'll show that in a second. Okay, so for this one, it's kind of similar to the Act 3 boss we played. They heal up. So you either need to get enough damage to kill them in less than 3 seconds, or split your damage. I like to do a little bit of both, I guess. You kind of always want your damage to be infinitely scaling. But, this. So it's usually not a problem. It's usually mostly just a damage test, but it doesn't hurt to split your heroes up a little. Your damage dealers up a little, I should say. You can see they're all healing constantly. I realize I never actually really got Azura to the point I wanted with that 4th slot. Maybe I should change items around again. We'll take a look at the fight recap, see if she's at least doing a lot of debuffs. Okay, and then she just shoots to first because of the infinite scaling. Okay. Crazy. She is applying a decent amount of shock as well. But he even got his Spellblade maxed out. This tends to be like the longest fight of the game, just because of how tanky they are with the refreshing. Because like I could do a swap here, but I don't think I'm going to. Yeah, we'll stick with this. The real final boss. So the way I usually do this is that I'll often do it kind of like this. Because that way you'll see there's summons at the back here on these blades. The hand on the right throws like a ball that hits everyone, and the hand on, oh sorry, the left. This is the left. No, but it says right. No, because we're facing the other way. Confusing. So this one's just a ball of AoE basically, and this other one over here does massive damage like directly on top of one guy. So if you do it this way, you need to make sure that your backline is tanky enough to survive the AoE. The other way to do it is that you do it like this. And then you put your backliners in the middle, at least the other way I do it. And then they won't get hit at all, pretty much. And because we have multiple heroes dealing good damage, I'm going to go ahead and do it this way today. So here we go. This is kind of just turned into a playthrough, I suppose, but hopefully my explanations aren't totally worthless. Okay, back one died pretty quickly. There we go. Turned out to be Ryu who did a lot of the damage here in this fight. Zera didn't quite have time to get online, but as you can see, she had the potential from the other fight. So anyway, that was kind of fun. Is there anything I should talk about before leaving? Yeah, no, just play the game, try different combos. I guess for the final strats here, we had Ryu. He has a lot of shield, so with the Reborn, he's just constantly gaining shield. So we have the item that increases attack damage, attack percent, and attack speed, all based on your shield. A little bit of extra shield received and max HP there. That's where he's getting a lot of his damage from. We also have this passive that's giving him some crit chance from the shield as well, so really handy. And Two-Face, which was given him critical strike damage as well. Kasara was just a ball of mana regen and angelic power, and Dream Staff turns that mana regen directly into damage. So she can do a bit of damage on top of the stun she doles out. For Zotz, he has a lot of items, and these two passives here, or well, one item and these two passives, increasing his attack power based on his spell power, basically. Didn't really ever fully come online the way I wanted. The items I was looking for, I realized, just weren't in these unlocks, which is awkward. Oh, pardon me. But, sorry, I like keep hiccuping to the mic. Gross. But anyway, an attempt was made. Orion was just some basic, big tanky guy. The health room we got at the end allows him to infinitely scale his health up. Some spell power to increase his healing from this other passive. There's heal receive, defense, max HP, all the good stuff. Azuro's build ended up being super duper weird. Typically, you want to build this hero around just gaining as much max health and casting as much as possible. We just had a random pile of crap here, but we had this special heirloom and the Omni crit, so she had big crits at least, dealing a lot of shock and getting some extra spell power in response. So, I don't know, definitely wasn't super happy with the Azura or the Zotz build. And that can happen when your heroes are just like a little more complicated. Like Zotz wants both attack power and spell power, and Azura has the whole weird health scaling thing. Whereas really simple ones like Ryu, who just wants some damage and shield, or Kasara, who's just a basic spellcaster, Orion, a basic tank, can be a little easier to pull off. But yeah, there we go. This video's like an hour long, so I'm gonna go and turn this off and upload it. Peace.